Cameron with CBM Reviews, and I've got a new comic book movie review for you. I told you it wasn't going to be too long before I put out another review. This is going to be of the upcoming release from Warner Brothers Animation, Green Lantern, Beware My Power. This movie was directed by Jeff Wamster, and it stars Aldous Hodge, Jimmy Simpson, Brian Bloom, Jamie Gray Hyder, and Rick D. Wasserman. I'm going to give you the story synopsis without spoiling anything. I'm going to give you the things that I liked, the things that I didn't like, and my overall score. So with this new one, you definitely want to know the 411. Really quickly, I want to thank you for clicking on this video. I definitely appreciate it. If you are a fan of comic book movie reviews, click that like and subscribe button. And if you want to know as soon as I upload anything, hit that notification bell. You'll know as soon as a video goes live. So this is a new DC animated movie review in the same vein as Superman Man of Tomorrow. This is a retelling of the origin story of the Green Lantern that is John Stewart. So the story in a nutshell, John is just trying to get through his everyday life, and then there's a ship that crashes close to where he is at this certain point in time. He goes to the wreckage. There is an alien aboard the ship and gives him a ring, or he gets the ring somehow. And now he's trying to figure out what this ring is, what he's supposed to do with it, who can help him with it. And this, of course, takes him on a journey where he finds out what's been going on beyond the stars that he's familiar with. So that's kind of the story synopsis without giving anything away. There are a lot of moving parts with this, and I really don't want to ruin anything if you're a big Green Lantern fan. However, I will tell you some of the things that I did enjoy. So Jimmy Simpson, who does the role of Green Arrow in this movie, bang up job. Absolutely fantastic. He nails the smarminess, the kind of like what is it? The very well, not necessarily uptight, but you know, he feels like he's the smartest guy or the best guy in the room, and he knows it. But he still has a heart, and we get to see all of these sides of Green Arrow in this, which is great. Also, Hawkgirl is in this, Shayera Hall. The warrior nature that is Hawkgirl is very evident from the very first time that we see her on screen to the very last time that we see her on screen. Like, she is a warrior through and through. They get it right. And yes, she is just as gorgeous as she was in the Justice League cartoon. So that's definitely a plus. And speaking of pluses, the animation here definitely looks like a step above some of the other animation that we've seen in recent years from the DC animated studios. It's on par with Superman Man of Tomorrow, and there are some other movies that have come out recently that it definitely felt like Batman The Long Halloween, as well as Superman Red Sun. Definitely not in the same vein as Batman Ninja or Catwoman Hunted. However, it's still pretty decent animation. Like, there are some fight scenes that feel really good. And speaking of scenes that feel really good, there are some a little bit more raw scenes that I wasn't expecting. They very in a short amount of time, they hint at John Stewart's time in the army. And in that scenario, he was a sniper. They show the kills. So this is definitely not for little kids, even though this is animation. And even though I've hit on these 3 points pretty quickly, that's about where what I liked ended. There are a lot of negatives to this movie, and I would say 3 of them come to mind. And the first one is going to be the most serious offender: the story. The story is boring. It's very boring. Like, this is supposed to be a Green Lantern John Stewart origin piece, and what it ends up being is this race of aliens is at war with this race of aliens, and what's going on with this war. That is the majority of this movie, when the majority of this movie should be about John Stewart and him being worthy of the Green Lantern ring and him coming into his own, which does happen. But the vehicle in which they choose this, I couldn't care about less. It is really rough. And even though the animation looks good, the dialogue, with the exception of like Shayera and Green Arrow and a couple of other characters that I really don't want to spoil here, it's really clunky. The worst offender of all of the characters is Green Lantern himself, John Stewart, who's played by Aldous Hodge, who's an actor who's going to be Hawkman later on in Black Adam, was the most wooden performance. And when your lead is giving pretty much the worst performance, how does that reflect on the remainder or the rest of the movie? Not very good. So that was distracting. And if you had to compare this movie to another piece of science fiction cinema, it very closely, in certain ways, resembles Star Wars Episode 2 Attack of the Clones. That's not a good thing. No hate to those who actually do like that movie. However, it really falls into the director's lap. And the director who made all of the final decisions ended up making some poor ones. And even though I compared this to a Star Wars piece, a lot of the source material falls into 1990s Green Lantern lore. And without saying anything else, if you were in comics around that time, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And yes, that's what they do. Was it good? About as good as it was in the comics. So you take that however you want. When it comes down to it, this movie is also in some of the patterns of DC animated films definitely not being up to par, which is a frickin' shame because Jon Stewart is a great character co-created by Neal Adams, who just recently passed away earlier this year. The character deserved better. This movie should have been better. And if we're talking about scores here, unfortunately, we're looking at like a solid 36. And I mean, that's me feeling a little bit generous. The biggest offender here is the story. The story is rough. Halfway through, I was ready to stop, but I wanted to come out with this review for you guys. The animation looks great, but the voice acting is wooden. Well, at least half of it is wooden. And the direction definitely could have been a whole lot better. If you're wanting to enjoy a DC animated feature, Batman The Long Halloween is great. Superman Man of Tomorrow is fun. Superman Red Sun is pretty cool. And Catwoman Hunted, even though there were some questionable storylines, the visual animation is spectacular. Visual animation is good here too. So that's my unfortunate review of Green Lantern, Beware My Power. If you want to watch this movie, it comes out on digital, so you can find it on YouTube and Amazon later on this month, July 26th. You can rent it there or you can purchase it. If you're a Green Lantern fan, go watch it. Otherwise, save that money. But anyway, that's what I have for you here. If you liked this review, hit that like button. If you're a fan of this sort of thing, hit the subscribe button and share this with your friends. As always, this is Cameron with CBN Reviews. We'll see you next time. And I really don't want to get too much into anything else because anything else might be a spoiler. I just realized I'm streaming and I didn't mean to stream. I meant to record. I clicked the wrong button.